The first step that we did was to organize a sensitivity and awareness training about blindness and visual impairments. And as with all the trainings we did for this project, the program was led by both sighted and blind consultants. And I can't stress how important this was. We were able, in the context of these trainings, to get immediate feedback as well as real experience of working with the blind audience. And I think that to have the blind consultants be part of the training sort of broke the ice for our group. I think all of us were a little bit shy about working with the blind consultants at first, and since each of the trainings included this hands-on component, it sort of forced all of us, our docents and me included, to be participants rather than observers. One of the aspects of the training which I thought was really effective is that we discussed different kinds of vision impairments, and we actually put on, I'm sure some of you have already done this, put on these special glasses that simulated different vision problems, so we could actually see through the perspective of a person with a variety of different vision impairments. It really, I think, made it real for us in a way that it hadn't up until that point. At this training, we also reviewed basic guide techniques, things that you wouldn't necessarily think about when you're talking about doing a training for people who don't have vision issues. There were things like, how do you help a blind person move safely and comfortably through a crowded gallery? That's not a no-brainer when you're dealing with, maybe one or two or more people in a group who maybe have canes, who might be infirm in other ways, or even have a guide dog. We had questions that we were able to ask the blind consultants, like, is it okay to touch a person who's blind? Like, how do you introduce yourself? What's the protocol? We talked all about guide dogs and the sort of protocols related to that. We spent also a fair amount of time just listening to the consultants talk about their experiences, both in art making and museum going. And then, to be totally frank, we asked them all those questions that, we really wanted to know, but we were kind of afraid to ask. Things like, should we or how should we describe colors to people who have never had sight? Or can we say when we're looking at something, look here when you're talking to somebody who can't see? And then the sort of $24,000 question is, why do you want to go to an art museum anyway if you can't see? And we spent a lot of time learning in the context of the training. So the next, to sort of walk you through the training, the next phase of our training really involved our graduate student lecturers, and we asked each of them to present a verbal description of our lobby. Now, this was a suggestion from Art Education for the Blind. The idea of presenting the lobby I have to confess, never really occurred to me. But if you think about how people enter your museum, the lobby is the orientation point and the point of entry for any person coming. And it was really important for us to kind of figure out how we introduce the spaces in the lobby. And our lobby is actually a pretty unwelcoming place and sort of a little daunting even if you can see. So we talked about some different strategies for getting people through the space and also talking to them about the architecture and where they were, which seemed important, creating a kind of context. And then each of our graduate student lecturers then presented a single kind of iconic work from our collection. The blind consultants came back again to take part in this training, and they served as a kind of sounding board for us, and they gave us criticism, constructive criticism that was really invaluable.